In these general tutorials, we'll be going over the basics of your on-screen display and concepts which are universal to all instruments. How to play each individual instrument is covered in that instrument's tutorials. Once you're done here, you may want to check out the tutorials for your instrument of choice to learn more about it. This here is what we call the highway. It's where all the action happens. A vocalist's highway will look different, but just bear with me for now. For the most part, the game is all about seeing notes come down your highway and then hitting them accurately in time to the music. This meter over here is your rock meter. It represents what the crowd thinks of your performance. Hitting notes successfully impresses the crowd and raises the rock meter. And missing notes or playing notes that aren't there causes it to fall. When it's in the middle yellow part, you're doing okay. When it's up in the green, you're really wowing the audience. When it falls into the red, that means you're not doing so well. If it starts flashing red, look out. You may just be about to fail the song. When it empties all the way, you didn't quite cut it and will have to leave the stage. In a nutshell, you want to always keep the crowd happy with your performance. They came to see a great show, so give it to them and your rock meter will be topped out. This number here is your score. Naturally, you want this to be a very big number. The way you can do this is by hitting notes successfully, just like raising your rock meter. Each note you hit is worth a base amount of points, but the score you get from each note first goes through the multiplier, which is this number here. Every 10 notes in a row you hit successfully increases this multiplier by 1. Normally, it maxes out at 4. This meter is your star power meter. When it fills up higher than this line, there's enough star power to be ready to use. Using it instantly doubles your multiplier, as well as filling your rock meter faster when you hit notes. Different instruments trigger star power differently, so view the tutorial for your instrument to find out more. The better you perform a song, the more stars you earn once you finish it. Earning stars is how you progress through the career, unlocking new venues to play in. The more stars you earn on each song, the faster you'll make progress. This doohickey lets you know how many stars you'll be earning. As you play well, this meter will fill up. Every time it fills, that's another star waiting for you at the end of the song. You can earn 1 to 5 stars per song, depending on the quality of your performance. Plus an extra star if you manage to play the whole song without missing a single note. Aside from the accuracy of your performance, there's another way to earn extra stars. Every gig you play in career has an associated challenge to complete, in addition to playing the song well. A challenge can be something like achieving a really high note streak, nailing specific sections, or using star power effectively. You will see the description of the challenge after selecting your gig. Each challenge is for a specific instrument or for the band as a whole. If a challenge is for a different instrument than the one you have, don't worry. You can always come back for it later if you like. Each challenge has 3 levels associated to it, depending on how well you do the challenge: gold, platinum, and diamond. Completing challenges earns you extra stars for the gig. 1 for each level achieved, up to 3 extra for earning the diamond level. This is the challenge meter. As you make progress towards completing the challenge, the meter will fill up. As you pass each level of the challenge, the center of the meter will indicate which level you've achieved so far. If a gig allows you to choose your own songs, try and think about what the best songs would be to meet that challenge. You can totally game the system. It's up to you. Remember, challenges are completely optional. You can choose to ignore them and simply play the songs. But if you take on and complete the challenges, you'll earn stars faster than ever. Well, that pretty much covers the basics. You know, I'll be honest, I didn't think much of you when you started these tutorials. But you've shown you're willing to learn, and you've got the eyes of a champion. I can tell you'll go far. So you picked the guitar. That's a popular choice. All of the guitar lessons apply to both lead and bass guitarists. For this tutorial, we'll assume you're a lead guitarist, which every guitarist seems to do anyhow. But there is one lesson for bassists specifically. As the person who drives the melody and the memorable hooks of a song, the lead guitarist is the most important member of the band. Let's talk about your instrument. It should look more or less like this. Now then, are you left or right-handed? Okay, that'll be your strumming hand. Your other hand is your fret hand, and should go on the neck of the guitar. Hold the guitar like this. Pretend you're looking in a mirror. You can always change your handedness in the options menu. Adjust the length of your strap so the guitar sits at a comfortable height. Just above one's waist is typical. Don't make it too low unless you're more concerned with looking cool than playing well, which is a valid consideration. Press the green fret button when your guitar is slung just right. Now that you've got your guitar set up, let's go over its parts. As you can tell, your guitar controller is exactly like a real guitar. Well, I suppose there are a few minor differences. These are the fret buttons, which you'll use to choose notes. This is the strum bar, with which you'll play the notes. This thing is the whammy bar, which can affect how sustained notes sound. We'll get into that more later. Rotate it in a position that is comfortable, accessible, and not in the way of your strumming. All right, now you should know the front of your guitar like the back of your hand. Now for the crucial component of playing as a guitarist. As you've probably noticed, these colored circles along the strike line correspond to your colored fret buttons. The trick is to be holding the correct fret button when you strum the note as it passes the strike line. For now, you only need to use the first 3 fret buttons, green, red, and yellow. The other 2 start being used in higher difficulties. Blue is added in medium, and orange is added in hard. The higher frets, the ones closest to you, play higher pitched notes. Lower frets play lower notes. While playing, no sound is made until you press the strum bar. Because the note does not count until you strum, you can hold the fret buttons ahead of time if you like. This also means that if there's a series of the same note in a row, you don't need to lift your finger off the fret button in between notes. Here's a string of green notes. Try keeping the green fret held down as you strum these. Now let's add in the red and yellow fret buttons. Cool. That's the basics of hitting notes. Every note in the game can be played this way. There are some that can be played in additional ways. Next, we'll check out some of these different types of notes. When you see 2 or more notes together on one line like this, it's a chord. You play chords by simply holding all of the fret buttons that correspond to the notes in the chord, and only those buttons, then strumming it normally. Try hitting a few chords yourself. Excellent. On easy difficulty, you will not see these very often. On higher difficulties, you will start encountering more chords and chord types. When a note has a long tail like this, that means it's a sustained or held note. You can earn more points by holding a sustained note. Simply keep the fret button held down for the duration of the note after strumming it. If you release a sustain early, there's no penalty, but you will also not get the extra points, and it won't sound as good. So hold them as long as you can. Try it now. Excellent. Some sustains run right up to the next note, so you may have to cut it close to max out your score. That covers most of the basics of playing as a guitarist. One more important lesson remains. Using star power increases the amount of rock each note you hit earns, as well as doubling your score multiplier. When your star power meter is at least half full, you can activate your star power to really impress the audience. Activate star power by tilting your guitar upwards. You can also use the star power button on your guitar to activate star power. Every now and then you'll see star power notes that look like little stars, appropriately enough. Star power notes are grouped together into star power phrases. You must hit every note in the star power phrase to earn the star power. If you miss a single note though, you get nothing. Earn enough star power to activate it now. Completing 2 phrases should be enough, but feel free to earn more. Complete more star power phrases while your star power is active to extend the time it's active even further. If your star power phrase includes sustained notes, you can extract even more star power by using the whammy bar while holding the sustain. Fill up your star power meter using whammy to help you get there faster. Whammy any sustained note, but only sustained star power notes will grant you extra star power. Star power is the key to saving yourself if you're about to fail, and also the key to earning very high scores. Well, that should be everything you need to know to get started as a lead guitarist or a bassist. Now that you're done with a basic tutorial, clearly you're ready to go on a worldwide tour. Come back and try the next tutorial when you've got a few gigs under your belt. Welcome to the next level of tutorials. This tutorial assumes you are comfortable playing at medium difficulty. There are a few techniques that can help you on more difficult songs. One is the high note override, meaning that when playing single notes, only the highest fret button held counts. For example, if you're holding down the green and red fret buttons when you're strumming a red note, it will still count as a single red note. Using this technique can save wear and tear on your precious fret fingers, but it's entirely up to you to do it or not. Your score is not affected either way. Try using this technique on these notes. Remember, this applies to single notes only, not chords. Next, we'll check out another way in which you can make difficult passages easier. Now to address a valuable technique for playing complex passages of single notes. Hammer-on and pull-off notes, or hopos, are a way to carry the energy from a strummed note into other notes so that you don't have to strum them. Here are 2 single notes. Notice how the second note has a glowing center? Don't panic. You can still strum these like every note and they'll work just fine. However, if you strum the first note normally and then just press or hammer on the fret button for the second note, it will also count. No strumming required. You can continue to chain together hammer-on notes as long as you hit the note before. Try it out now. Strum the first note normally and then hammer on the second note. using hammer-ons can make fast parts which go up the frets a lot easier. Now, let me introduce you to pull-offs. A pull-off works just like a hammer-on in reverse. Strum the first note while holding both fret buttons, then release, or pull off the higher fret button. Now you try. Hammer-ons and pull-offs will often be together in a sequence. You may also see hopo chords, though not nearly as frequently. These work just as you would think. Strum the first chord, then just press the fret buttons for the following one. They are a little trickier than single-note hopos, but the same basic idea. Try them out now. Remember that all hammer-ons and pull-offs are optional and that you can strum the notes normally. For any particular passage, do what works best for you. There's one more type of note you need to know as a guitarist: tap notes. Tap notes look semi-transparent like this. Tap notes are similar to hopos, only you don't need to strum at all. Just press the matching fret button when they cross the strike line. Try it out now. Remember, you don't need to use the strum bar at all. Strum tap notes if you wish. Like hopos, you can play them either way with no penalty. You may often see these when you're playing something other than a guitar, like a keyboard. How can one play keyboard with a guitar, you may ask? Well, you should really just relax. It looks like you have a guitar with a slider. Lucky you. There are ways in which you can use the slider to alter your playing style. First of all, anytime you run across tap notes, you can play them on the slider. You can also use the slider like a strum bar by tapping it. As a bassist, using your thumb on the slider can emulate the experience of playing slap bass. Finally, you can use the slider to affect the sound of sustained notes, just as you can with the whammy bar. Instead of bending the pitch of the note, however, it will apply a wah-wah effect. Doing this extracts star power from sustained star power notes in the same way as using the whammy bar. As you can see, the slider is a very versatile tool that lets you add some personality to how you play the songs. Just don't add too much personality if it's an all-ages show, if you get my drift. This tutorial assumes you are ready to move on to hard difficulty. On hard and expert difficulties, you'll encounter the dreaded orange note. Don't worry though, with enough practice hitting them, they'll become second nature. You may think your pinky finger is going to get a workout by hitting both the blue and orange fret buttons. However, rather than stretching your pinky to the orange, move your whole hand up one fret button so that your index finger is resting on the red fret button. For any particular passage, you will want your hand to be in one position or the other. But it's safest to keep your hand in the higher position, since your index finger is easier to move than your pinky. Try switching back and forth between the two positions for this exercise. first, it can feel strange to leave the comfort of your green fret button, but in the long run, it will make things much easier. If you find yourself unable to get accustomed to the new hand position, try practicing medium difficulty songs without using your pinky finger, or play bass on hard. The tails of these sustained notes extend past other notes. This is known as an extended sustain. Like regular sustains, you won't be penalized for dropping the sustain. But if you want to max out your score, here's what you do. Strum the first note normally and keep holding the fret button as you would for a regular sustain. And keep holding the first fret button down when strumming the second. Now you will get the points for holding both sustains. Try this technique now. As you can tell, it's like a combination of sustains and high note override. Don't be too concerned if you have trouble with these at first. It's more important to keep your streak going than to hold all the sustains. But if you can, it'll help boost your score. Here's a key technique that will help you nail passages of fast repeated notes. Most players start out strumming only downwards, which is just fine for slower tempo songs and easier difficulties. It's not quite so easy when encountering a long string of rapid notes like this. For this situation, it is useful to alternate your strums between up and down. This is known as alt strumming. For all intents and purposes, strumming up is the same as strumming down. So when you rapidly go back and forth, you can strum much faster than only strumming down. Listen to the drums and bass to feel the rhythm. Don't just flail away on the strum bar. Try it out now. There are many other techniques to learn and discover, such as squeezing, two-hand tapping, and the dirty strum, but I can't just tell you everything. Experiment and try your own techniques. You may find out something new. If you're playing at a hard or expert level, you may sometimes feel achy after playing for long periods. This should go without saying, but if anything starts to hurt, take a break. When trying to complete a very difficult song, warm up first. Don't jump directly into it on expert. Begin by playing a lower difficulty or easier song. Then work your way up to give your hands time to adjust. Be sure to stretch your wrists and fingers before starting. While playing a long session, take time between songs to shake out your hands and flex them. Believe it or not, maintaining a claw-like death grip on your guitar neck for hours on end is actually not that good for your hands. Anything to keep the blood flowing in your hands and fingers is good. Here are a few suggestions. None of these should hurt. If they do, stop doing it. Stretch out your fingers on both hands as far as you can. Feel yourself sending the blood to your fingertips. Flex your finger joints with this stretch. Make sure your wrists receive attention too. Don't push too hard. Do this for both hands, and also the other direction, and shake them to loosen them up. Doing this will not only prevent aches and ensure you never learn what tenosynovitis is, but will improve your finger flexibility and quickness, and make you a better player overall. This tutorial covers things specific to the bass, but for general bass play, the earlier guitar tutorials will cover the basics for both lead and bass guitar. As the person who bridges the melody and rhythm of the song and covers the low frequencies lead guitar cannot reach, the bass guitarist is the most important member of the band. In general, you'll be less likely to encounter chords when playing as a bassist, but you will see more rapid strumming of single notes. There is also one thing you will see as a bassist that a lead guitarist will not. Please ask any dedicated lead guitarist to leave the room. Are they gone? Okay. Now I can reveal the open note. Behold. See how it doesn't match up to any particular fret button? That is because open notes are strummed without holding any fret buttons. Technically speaking, they are the easiest note to play, but it can be jarring to see them mixed in with the other notes. Give it a try now. Remember, don't press any of the fret buttons when strumming an open note. Excellent. You are truly a master of lower frequencies. So while the lead guitar may have the fancy pants solos, you have a whole other note at your disposal. You may now let any lead guitarist back into the room. Playing as a solo act is fine and all, but to really make it big, you'll need to get together with a band. Lots of bands started out as a group of friends just jamming together. Some of those bands ended up as a group of ex-friends endlessly suing each other and ragging on each other in interviews. There's no ego meter in the game, so that friendship stuff is all on you. But I can at least help you with scoring as a band. While playing in a band, you'll all need to cooperate and work together in order to get chart-topping scores. This is the band multiplier. It's applied to every band member's score, so naturally, you'll want to keep it as high as possible. The more people you have in your band, the higher the multiplier can get. Like your individual multiplier, it's affected by streaks and star power. When a single band member is on a streak, their personal multiplier goes up. When multiple band members are on a streak together, it adds 1 to the band multiplier for every person on a streak. So, if 2 members are both streaking, the multiplier goes up by 2. 3 players streaking adds 3, and so on. Star power affects the band multiplier in the same way. You gotta be using it together. So save up and combine your star power to really send those scores through the roof. Remember, it's not enough for one person to be on a streak or using star power alone. Another band member must also be doing the same thing for it to count. So in a 4-player band with all 4 members streaking and using star power, you'd guess that the multiplier tops out at 8. And you'd be right if it weren't for band moments. There are parts of some songs that are crucial for every member to get just right. These are called band moments, and they look like this. If any member of the band misses a note during these moments, there's no bonus. But if everyone hits all their notes, 1 will be added to the multiplier for every additional band member you have. 2 people will add 1, 3 people will add 2, and a full 4 people will add 3. This means that the maximum possible band multiplier when everyone's on a streak using star power and nails the band moment is 11. Of course, the more people you have in your band, the more difficult it will be to nail a band moment, but the reward increases as well. If you can top out your band multiplier, good for you. This is pretty hard to pull off. In short, try not to miss any notes and coordinate your star power so that everyone has it active at the same time. One thing that will help you and your band members save up star power is star power overflow. Playing alone, if your star power meter is maxed out and you complete a star power phrase, you get nothing. But if you're playing in a band, any star power earned when your meter is full is divided among the other members. That way, no star power is wasted, unless everybody's meters are already full. And if you all have full star power meters, what are you waiting for? Trigger that star power. You can use this to back each other up and help out players who are having a hard time hitting star power phrases themselves. It will sometimes happen that a song is too much for one of your band members, and they'll fail out. Though it can feel like it sometimes, this is not actually the end of the world. The remaining players can win over the audience by continuing to play well. The more difficult the active player's parts are, the faster the meter will fill. Different instruments and difficulties will contribute different amounts to this meter too. Hitting notes while using star power will make this meter fill up even faster. If, heaven forbid, you're the one who blows it, take advantage of your time out to listen to the other members so you're on beat when you jump back in. Every time someone fails out, it will become more difficult to revive them as the audience starts to lose its patience. And if multiple players fail out at once, it's going to be really difficult to get them back. You can always try again though. Don't waste time assigning blame. Leave that to the critics. Each instrument has its unique role to play in the band. The lead guitarist can get high bass scores due to all the chords they encounter. The vocalist can maintain streaks for long periods between phrases to keep the band multiplier up. Also, they can raise their rock meter with free-form sections. The long strings of single notes that bassists typically play also make it easier to get streaks. The bassist also contributes more to the revival meter when another player fails out. The drummer contributes a large bass score, as well as maintaining the rhythm that keeps the whole band in sync. That's pretty much all I can help you with playing in a band. Remember, if you can all agree on a name, you pretty much can do anything.